Welcome everybody. In this video, I'm going to start a series on publishing an academic book. Now, you might recall several months ago, I said I was working on a book contract or a book prospectus, and I said I was going to publish a video every week about my, progress, and I didn't do that because I just kind of got overloaded with everything. But here's the good news. The good news is that I'm really, I got the green light for the book. We're just hammering out the details of the contract. And I thought it'd be a really good opportunity to go ahead and start doing a video series on what it means to publish an academic book. Like, what's the process like in terms of getting a contract? What does actually writing a book look like, right? When should you do it? That sort of thing. So that's what we're going to start with this video. And occasionally I will be doing some videos about my own experience as I began writing I guess it's technically my third book. So let me give you a little bit of background. I have a book that was co-authored. I don't remember what year it was published in. It's been a while. So I have that book. I have a book that's under contract right now where it's an edited volume where I'm the second editor. And then I have a book that's getting ready to go to contract where I am the sole author. Okay. And the first two books that, are the one that's published and the one that's the edited volume, those are with the same company and with the same editor. And this third book is with a different publishing house and a different editor. All right. So what I want to do is talk to you about what happens. There's a couple different ways that you can go about getting started if you have an idea for an academic book. One is, right, you can write a prospectus and send it in. We're going to cover that in a separate video. What I want to start with is when an editor contacts you, okay? Because in 2 out of 3 cases, that's what has happened to me, right? So with my first book that was co-authored, an editor reached out to me. With the second book, we reached out to that same editor for my first book. And then with my third book, again, a different editor reached out to me. So here's the thing. When an editor contacts you, I always see it as good news. It might not be good timing in terms of what you have going on and what you can take on, but it's good news, right? They see a gap in their catalog that they think of you, right? They think you're the person that can fill that gap, right? It doesn't matter if you might be early on in your career. I was very early on in my career when I got contacted about my first book. Might be later on, anything in between, right? But they see you as, that person to tap to fill that gap. Now, when you talk to the editor, right, and you might have a phone call, might be some emails, might meet at a conference, right, any of that, they are likely going to have kind of a general idea of what they want you to write. Remember, they reached out to you, so they've thought of you for a reason, okay? It's not necessarily like a hard and fast, super tight idea. There's usually a lot of flexibility and, they're open to conversation and discussion, right? They want to hear your input, but they do have something in mind that they think that you can do. Now, this is not a guarantee, of course, that you're going to get a contract, but I look at it as if an editor reaches out to you, you are off to a really good start, right? Because they see you as, potentially, right, the person that can write the book that they want in their catalog, okay? So you're going to meet with the editor, like I said, right, have a few conversations, sort of flesh out the idea, and then you're going to have to write the book proposal. And I will cover what goes in a book proposal in a separate video. I just want to give you the big overview here. Even though an editor reaches out to you, even though they want you, right, you still have to write that proposal, okay? Unless maybe you're way far down the line in your career and you're super famous. But most of us are going to have to write that proposal. I will say this. With the second book, right, that's an edited volume, because that editor, there's 3 of us that are editors for that book. And I think the editor had worked with 2 of us, myself and one other person. I don't think all 3 of us have worked with that editor. But because the editor had worked with at least 2 of us, he didn't require as much from us for the proposal. He did require something, but it was a lot less work than a typical book proposal because he had experience with all of us. He knew our work, right? So because of that, we got lucky and we got to write a shorter proposal. But even then, we still had to write the proposal, okay? So that's kind of a general overview. Now, once as you're writing your proposal, of course, you can still reach out and have conversations with the editor, etc. We're going to talk about that, like I said, in a separate video on writing a book proposal. But that's what happens when an editor contacts you, right? Really great news. You get to have this conversation. They see you as an expert and as somebody who can fill a gap in their catalog. And it really helps to sort of propel you towards writing that initial book.